Good morning everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name's Emma Porter and I look after the West Midlands region for Hikvision, and today I'm here to talk to you about the latest updates to our HikCentral VMS platform. Now I'm really excited about this. HikCentral is such a powerful software and it's key to integrating all of our Hikvision products. Now, for a little background, since its launch back in 2017, we've continued to develop the HikCentral platform. So every year we release 2 big updates with smaller version updates throughout the year too. But this means that we can continue to enhance the software and bring new features to you as we launch new solutions and new products through the year too. So today I'm going to cover the new modules that we've launched in version 2.2. I'm going to take you through some of the enhancements we've made to existing modules and to the system itself. I'm also going to show you some of the resources that we've got available to help you introduce HikCentral to your end user, to your customer base, and to make quoting it easier. And at the end I've got an exciting prize draw to tell you about too. So let's start with the mobile vehicle solution. Now this is the biggest new module to be added to 2.2. Now we've launched this module to integrate our existing mobile product ranges and then some of the new solutions that are coming to market in Q2 this year. So that's going to give your end users an intelligent mobile monitoring solution. And that means you can do some really smart things, be it real-time GPS tracking of a vehicle fleet, alerting of driver behaviours, yawning, that sort of thing, or managing service schedules. Now, perhaps you have an end user who has a delivery firm, a taxi fleet, or even a healthcare provider with carers on the road. This is the sort of module that would work in those scenarios. Now, to understand everything this module can do, we're going to break it down into 3 key parts: vehicle monitoring, active alarms, and operation. So let's start with vehicle monitoring. So when I think of this, I imagine a manned control room setup. So you've got HikCentral on a video wall. The security operative that's sitting in that control room can then live view and track the entire fleet of vehicles from that control room via real-time GIS mapping. So the operative can see if the vehicle's moving, it can see if it's stopped, if an alarm has been triggered, if it's offline. The operative can also live view any cameras that are on the vehicle, internal, external, driver facing, whatever is set up. It can also trigger two-way audio with the driver. The operative can also remote playback footage on the 4G network too. So this gives that operative that's sitting in a control room a real-time overview of the vehicle fleet from a centrally managed point, wherever that may be in the UK, with vehicles dotted around. Now, I mentioned the security operative could receive alarms from the vehicle. So these could be predetermined region alarms. So perhaps a vehicle enters or exits a prohibited area or location. Think of a clean air zone, for example. You need to know if that vehicle has gone into that area so that you can then pay the charge. Or it could be a deviation alarm on a predefined route. So, for example, a cash-in-transit vehicle that has a very specific route it must follow. If it doesn't, perhaps something has gone wrong along that route. If it deviates from it, an alarm will trigger. So I've got a video to show you here. So this is HikCentral. This is what it will look like with the maps. So as you can see, you've got a list of license plates. You have the car on the map itself. You can then track that vehicle. You'll see it move here. So you'll see it on the map and you'll see that green car is moving. So that's live. That car is on its way, on its journey. Now you'll see that there are also some little dots that are forming. They're alerts. Those can be played back by the security room. They're going to keep popping up on that map and then they can be looked at either live or at a later stage. So as you can see, it keeps moving along. Perhaps if you have cameras in that vehicle, you can click onto those as well. So this is a sort of live scenario of what you would be able to see in that control room. It's also really important to be able to centrally back up the video from the vehicle fleets, from their local storage, from their MVRs. And there are different ways a user might want to do that. It's worth noting that they'll need pStore or CVR cluster storage to achieve this. HikCentral doesn't record, it's an important note. So perhaps only event footage is required. So when an alarm is triggered, the system automatically backs up the video to central storage. Or perhaps your user wants to have a scheduled backup. So every time a vehicle returns to base, the footage is uploaded to a central storage. Or perhaps they want to just manually do it. They'll go in, they'll save what they want to. Now, I've seen some of these requirements in tenders for emergency vehicles in the past, and previously we couldn't achieve this. So this is a really important feature. Now, moving on to active alarms. Now, this is the ability to receive and react to alarms. So either real time in the vehicle by the driver, so a driver safety alarm or behaviour related, or in a security control room, or even in a management review scenario. So they can then retrospectively look over driver and vehicle performance. So in the vehicle, the driver can receive precaution alarms warning them to environmental driving factors. So this one here that you can see, this is a bus. So there is a monitor that's set up by the driver. There is an external camera that is to detect and alert when another vehicle enters its blind spot. This requires an intelligent analysis server as well as an exterior camera. So as you can see, the blue box, that's highlighting the vehicle's blind spot. As a car passes by, there's a green box around them. That's no issue. That's not in their blind spot. If one was to enter, it would alert the driver. That green box would go red. There would be a trigger, an alert within the vehicle for the driver. The driver can also receive intelligent alarms based on ADAS, so Advanced Driving Assistance Systems. So that's collision warnings in various driving environments. Now, again, you'll need an intelligent analysis server and an ADAS camera to set this up. This is going to give the driver even more information about what's going on as it's on the road. So here, using AI technology, you can trigger real-time alerts through a variety of driver behaviours. So this is an intelligent camera, it's an intelligent alarm that's looking to alert on behavioural changes. So you'll need a driver behaviour camera and an intelligent analysis server. So take, for example, a driver is yawning. An alert will be triggered at that point. An alarm, an audible warning within the vehicle to hopefully help the driver wake up. And then that will also be logged as an event centrally. So that can then be reviewed by the security team, by an operations team, by a HR team. They can have a look as to, what are the factors around this tired driver? What can they put in place to help? Now, looking at all of this fleet and driver information from an operations perspective, there's lots and lots of information that can be assessed and lots of data can be taken out of it, which is a really important feature of HikCentral. You can get a lot of information from it. So this will give an ops team information on the most efficient routes taken, any driver records that perhaps they can feed into training and improvements. It can link into fleet management too. There's all sorts of different things that you can find out from this information. Now, as I mentioned before, you can archive footage from the vehicle fleet, either event footage or set up a backup schedule. But you can also utilise HikCentral's evidence lockers. Now, this is another improvement that we've made to HikCentral, and it's something I'm going to talk about in the coming slides. You'll need an SFTP server to manage any evidential footage needed, but you can do this with this module too. Now, just for reference, this module obviously needs the correct hardware. Some of it's in the channel already, it's on distributor shelves right now. But as you can see on here, on this topology, the analysis server and some of the various cameras that's needed for blind spot detection and ADAS and the driver analysis cameras, they're not released until Q2. Now, we're almost there as it is, but your BDM, your distributor, they can keep you updated on launch dates. It's also worth noting that within version 2.2, you can add 10 devices into this module for free. So you can give your end user a trial. They can have a go. They can see what they like, what they don't like. They can have a look at it in real time. Now we move on from the mobile vehicle solution. It's a big module, and we're going on to body-worn cameras and dock station. So one of the biggest points here is our body-worn cameras can now be added directly into HikCentral. We couldn't achieve that previously. So when in use, say perhaps on a security round and on the 4G network, footage can now be remote live viewed and played back from the control room. So that's providing the body-worn wearer with backup from the control room. Perhaps something happens on that patrol. The team in the security room can see live what is happening. They can send another team along, they can call the police, they can react. So it's an extra layer of eyes, it's an extra layer of security. Now, we also support unified person management across devices now. So again, perhaps this time it could be a nurse on a hospital round. They can now be authenticated via face and release any body camera. So after they've done their rounds, he or she can then plug that camera into any dock station that's vacant. The video will then be automatically linked with that user. So that means the footage can be searched by user, which makes playback and review much less time consuming. You're not just looking through for an event, or you're not looking for a timestamp. You're actually looking for footage that belongs to that actual person. So it's just going to make it much less time consuming. We also now support video backup from the dock station to a central store. Again, you'll need piece store or cluster storage, and that can be event footage or all footage on a scheduled video backup. Again, this is something I've seen in tenders that we couldn't achieve before, so this is a great improvement. Another feature that's been on the roadmap is evidence management, and this is something I spoke about previously. So lots of my HikCentral customers have wanted this, and this is now a standalone module. So this is the ability to move evidential footage and securely store it for a longer time and in another location. So perhaps you've got an end user with a HR scenario. They're building a case against an employee. They need to store evidence away from everywhere else. They need to store it securely. So you can also then add different files to the evidence log. So it's not just anything from CCTV, it's not just video based. You can add in PDFs, you might have Word documents, you can form a case file, you can then extract that and export it all as one file, all with one case number, with all that information together. You'll also need an SFTP server for this too, worth noting. Now, on to emergency mustering. So again, this is a feature that lots of users have spoken about. We've always had roll call, but this takes it a step further. Now, there are 3 stages to emergency mustering. You've got emergency mode, so putting the system into emergency mode. You've got notification and evacuation, and you've got rescue. So there are different ways that you can put the system into emergency mode. So you can set it to go into it automatically. So it can be triggered when certain alarm sensors go off, or it can be a manual process. Someone can go on to HikCentral and they can click and set it into emergency mode. So this would then set in motion notifications within the building, and then an evacuation procedure would be followed. So all emergency access doors would be released, they'd remain open. You could then trigger an audio alert over the IP speaker. You could send an SMS notification to employees' mobile phones. You could send an SMS notification to the MD in a different building so he knows what's going on. There are lots of different alerts that you can set up when emergency is set up. So as the building empties into an agreed muster point, a person swipes into the muster area and then they're counted as an evacuated person. Now, if you've got our facial recognition terminals for touchless entry and exit, you can, rather than swiping into that area, you can display your face. So this then updates the roll call list on HikCentral. So it takes them off the list of people in the building and it adds them into the evacuated person list. This is a real-time report. This is live, this is dynamic. This is going to give you the information that you need there and then. This can be reviewed in multiple ways, which is really important. You can look at it on a control client in a different building, so someone else can be relaying the information, or you can also view it on the HikCentral mobile app. There's no point in sitting on the client PC in the building if everybody's out of it. So again, it's important to note that you've got that ability to view it on the HikCentral mobile app. Now, we move on to some of the enhancements and improvements we've made to the system through the 2.2 update, okay? So the first is with time and attendance. So this has been worked on to make it scalable, no matter the size of the end user. So perhaps you work with a firm who has an MD and 3 employees, so a small business, right up to one of your end users is a large multi-site, multinational brand. They've got offices dotted around the country, they've got thousands of employees. They're probably using a third-party HR software for things like payroll. That can work as well as having that small company with time and attendance. It's very scalable, it's very usable, no matter what size of end user. You can now create custom reports. So previously, you were limited to just the set template options. You now have the ability to cherry pick, create your own reports. You'll use all the filters and parameters that are there, but you can choose what you want to know. You can have a look and you can see what data you want out. It's yours. Next is visitor management. So the first scenario here is without a receptionist present. So perhaps you are the 8th floor, you have an office on the 8th floor of a building, but there is no manned reception on the ground floor level. You can now pre-register a visitor to the building. So someone's coming in for a meeting or an appointment, you know they're coming, you enter their details into HikCentral. That then will generate an email to your visitor that will have a QR code on it, and they can enter the building using that QR code. If this particular building, this setting, this office has got our facial recognition terminals, if you upload a picture into HikCentral, they can use their face to enter the building too. Once that visitor has arrived, they've scanned through whichever door, wherever they are, wherever they're going into, you will then receive an email to say they've arrived. You can then go and put the kettle on, you make sure the lights are on in the meeting room, you can react. The next scenario is with a receptionist. So this is the receptionist using HikCentral to register when a guest arrives, register them or put all their details in. They can then still be issued with a QR code because perhaps beyond reception there are certain doors they need to go through, and they'll use that QR code to access them, or you can upload their picture there and then, and they can use, if you've got facial recognition for touchless access, you can use your face to go through to the various doors. A really nice point is that you can also set up watch lists. So perhaps other people need to be notified when certain guests arrive. So perhaps you have a meeting with somebody, they're a VIP, they're really, really important. The MD needs to know when that person arrives. He just wants to pop down and say hello to them. You can set that up now. It's a really nice touch. So we now support batch configuration for our indoor stations. So that's going to save you install time. If you're dealing with a multiple occupancy building, you've got multiple indoor stations linked with one outdoor station, we now support batch configuration. That's going to save you time, that's going to save you money. We now also support notice broadcasting to indoor stations. Again, a multiple occupancy building with a concierge. Perhaps your end user wants to be able to get information to each of those properties. Perhaps every Thursday at 10 o'clock, the communal gardens are closed because the grass is going to be cut. That information can be broadcast easily to all indoor stations now. We've made some improvements to our alarm module. So HikCentral can integrate with more third-party alarms through generic HTTP and HTTPS protocols than ever before. You can process events in 24 different ways. So you can acknowledge, you can ignore, you can trigger two-way audio, you can do all sorts now. And you can also back up the alarm statistic report in 3 different ways. So you can save it locally on FTP or you can send an email. Other system improvements include making multi-site health monitoring easier, smart wall slicker, and one nice feature, we've added tabs onto the web client so you can switch between pages more efficiently. It's that sort of Google Chrome, we're used to that sort of setup, so you can move between the pages really, really easily. Now, we've also added some additional resources to the Hikvision website. We want to make it easier for you to quote HikCentral on your installs. We want to make it more efficient process. We want you to be able to use this. It's such a great software. So what we've introduced is the license selection tool. Now, I would always say, please get in touch with your BDM or speak to your distributor. We can help you build that quote. We can help you with that project. There may be other licenses that we can suggest. So please do let us help on those projects. but there is also the license selection there if you need it. We also have free trial licenses. Now they can be accessed from the website now as well, but you can also get those through distribution and through your BDM. I always find that if you're giving a free trial license, if you as your end user has a go and they see it, seeing is believing, it's the best way of getting to grips with the software and seeing how powerful it is. I'd also suggest getting in touch with your BDM to set up a demo so we can invite you into one of our offices, we can come to you, we can show you this software, it's excellent. But there are now lots and lots of things that you can access online. We've also put all our promotional collateral on there. So we've got videos, we've got one swipes, we've got all the operation guides, we've got service specs, we've got client PC specs. There is a wealth of information at your fingertips on the Hikvision website that you can have a look at so you know exactly what you need when you're quoting a project with HikCentral on it.